I have a story to tell, and it's a perfect example of why it's such a struggle when you're working in handmade and the value that people put on things. So, I recently did a post about how my friend was selling her handmade jewellery on Vinted and how quickly it sold because she was listing really nice pieces of jewellery for a fiver. And I said to her, I said, you're never going to make any money at this. You know, if you want to do this as, say, a market stall, you're going to have to up the prices because you've got the price of the stall, there's the getting there, and of course she's not pricing for profit. So, you know, it's the price of the beads and the elastic, and it's her time. No one ever values their time, puts a price on their time when they're making handmade. And I know it's really hard to do. I've also done this. So this example is of my mum, who has just bought lots of hair bands, Alice bands, and hair slides on Etsy for her two granddaughters who are both at school, and she's got them in the colours that fit the school uniform, and they're little headbands with little bows on them, and there's little slides in glitter, but they're the right colour and everything. And she sent me an email with a photograph of all these slides that she's bought on Etsy and says, you should get into making these, you know, you could really sell loads of these. It's not my sort of thing. But also, so I said to her, how much did you pay for these? And she told me. She paid £16, including the postage, for 23 items. So I sent her an email and said, so let's say the postage is £3. Each one of those headbands and slides has cost 56p. That's all that maker has made out of them. Now, I don't suppose for one second that the person that she's bought from is actually a handmade business. She's probably, whoever is doing it, has probably bulk bought from China or somewhere like that for like 5p a shot, and they're making their money that way. Because you cannot make, let's take an Alice band. You've got the price of the Alice band. That's a plastic Alice band with a bow on it. You've got to have the materials to make the bow. You've got to buy the Alice band, and then you've got to make the bow, fit the bow to the Alice band. And then you've got to do the photographs. You've got to upload it. You've got to do all the admin that comes along with the business. And you've sold that for 56p a shot. Not having that. And that's the problem that I have, is that they look at the overall price. Oh, look, £16 for hairbands. But look at the how many items there are on there. That works out at 56p if you take out the £3, which I reckon is what they probably paid for the postage for that amount of stuff. I'm not making hairbands for 56p. So the person who's selling on Etsy is either selling at a massive loss. Maybe they just do it as a hobby and they don't want to make the money. They're just keeping busy. Maybe it's that. Or more likely, they are bulk buying from places like China, as so many businesses do on Etsy. Etsy isn't all handmade. We know that. And that is why they are able to sell them at 56p a go, because they probably paid about 5p. Now, years ago, I used to work doing the alterations for a bridal and prom dress. Well, it wasn't really a bridal shop. It was a prom dress shop. And she used to talk about how she would bulk buy all these dresses in, and she could get these dresses for 60 quid. And they were these very typical prom dress, very fitted dresses with netting fishtail hems and things, covered in sequins. And I'd do the alterations, and the dresses were so badly made, but she paid like 60 quid a throw and would have them sent over in bulk. And then she was retailing them for upwards of £600 a go. And people were happy to pay for it. They thought that was what they were worth. And these dresses were actually dreadful, because I'd do the alterations, and like if I was like rehemming a dress, and you'd rehem the lining, and as you cut the lining, it was just shattering under your scissors because the fabric was such poor quality. And I was constantly having to re-sew on sequins on brand new dresses that hadn't even been worn because they were so badly sewn on. And they were done on a factory line. They weren't hand sewn at all. Not if you're paying 60 quid for a dress. But she was making an absolute bomb out of this for really cheap dresses that looked like they should be worth hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And she was getting away with it. And then they were having to pay me extra to alter them because none of them ever fitted. Because why would they? So that's today's rant. So if you buy something like 23 headbands and you pay 16 quid with free shipping, don't tell someone else that they can make a business out of it doing those prices. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. That's my rant for the day. I'm going to make a cup of tea and I'm going to calm down.